I'm Kate Dorney. I'm the Curator of Modern and Contemporary Performance at the Victoria and Albert Museum. I first learnt about Gabrielle Enthoven when I came to work here. I joined the museum in 2005, and Gabrielle Enthoven is the founder of our collections. She collected theatrical memorabilia from the 17th century onwards, and she presented the V&A with a collection of playbills, engravings and drawings. She was born in 1868 in London, in Spring Street, which is right in the heart of London's West End and close to Westminster, which is very fitting because her heart was always in the theatre, and her father was an advocate general in India and in Egypt. And Gabrielle and her mother travelled with him. So she had a very unconventional childhood. She met people like General Gordon. She socialised quite freely, I think, while she was over there, and they returned to this country when her father retired. They moved to Windsor, and she lived in this lovely rambling old priory. They went to regattas, they went to garden parties and balls. And she met Oscar Wilde, we don't know how, and wrote down some of the stories that he told her, and later had them published in a limited edition. And she sent a copy to the British Museum, so there would always be a copy preserved in perpetuity. And I like to think that that's the beginning of her life as a collector of theatrical material. She told a great story about her first experience of going to the theatre. She says that her and her brother sneaked out of their house in Windsor, travelled to London to the Gaiety Theatre, which was very famous for its kind of comedy burlesques. And they wanted to see a woman called Kate Vaughan, who was in a show called The 40 Thieves. And Enthoven says that they were standing in the throng downstairs, and a navvy said to her, "What are you doing here, little girl?" And she said, "I've come to see the play." And he said, "Have you got the money to get in?" So she gave him her money. He paid for his ticket, and he took her up to the gallery, which was the most roughest, boisterous bit of the theatre, sat her on his knee, and they watched the play. And she says that she told Kate Vaughan about this later on and was given a glove from the production that we've got in the collection. And she said it awakened her interest in theatre, and she became an amateur actress. She worked with the Old Windsor Strollers, who were a very venerable company. And she had looked around Europe, and she'd been to America, and she knew that they had collections of material. And she thought it was a disgrace that Britain didn't have a collection when the drama was so famous and we were famous for being good at theatre. So she started a national press campaign, a one-woman campaign. She wrote to The Observer and to lots of other papers saying, "We need a place where the scholar, the actor, the director, anyone who's interested can go and find out about what she called the smallest workings in the house." So what we would say today is, so that anybody can come and understand the history and practice of performance in Britain. And then in 1922, the V&A hosted an international theatre design exhibition. And the then director of the V&A wrote a very enthusiastic foreword to the catalogue that said, "Theatre is the pinnacle of applied arts." So she kind of got him in her sights and said, "You've said it's the pinnacle of applied arts, and the V&A is the place for applied arts practice, so you must take the collection." I suppose the chance to write the DNB entry was really a chance to look at all the kind of anecdotes that I'd read about her and try and put them together in some kind of order. So lots of people only know her in passing because she was friends with Noel Coward from a very young age. So she was friends with Radcliffe Hall and Una Troubridge, and they fell out apparently during the trial when Radcliffe Hall was exposed as a lesbian, and they said that they fell out with Enthoven because she repudiated her own kind when it was opportune to do so, which I take it to mean that she was a lesbian but didn't come out and say so. But I think she was quite old-fashioned in some ways and very, very private. In her will, she says that her solicitor must go to her house and go through all her papers before they come to the museum. She's very clear about how the boundaries between her work and her life. I think the legacy that Enthoven left us can be broken down into a few different categories. So first of all, she left us £20,000, which was a lot of money, and we still use that money today. It's in a trust. and the interest from that allows us to buy things and look after the collections. She left us all her possessions that she didn't distribute to friends and colleagues, the rest of her theatrical material. But she also, by the time she died, the V&A had accepted that theatre was part of its collecting policy and part of the national museum sort of movement. So her legacy was really to leave us the collecting policy that's allowed us to grow and grow and grow and record for the nation how theatre is made and studied.